Hi, everybody. Um, just a little check-in with y'all. Um, I've been homesick all day today. Matter of fact, I think I slept just about all day today. Still feel terrible. Still running a fever. Still coughing and hacking up a lung. But I just wanted to check in and let y'all know that, I appreciate the prayers and all the healing that y'all are sending me. I do feel it. Um, I went to work yesterday. I probably shouldn't have because I thought I could just kind of power my way through it. Uh, yeah, that didn't work. By the time I got home, I was literally seeing double. I couldn't even focus to read emails anymore. Um, and literally coughed all night long. So it's been a kind of a weird day for me, I guess. I'm not used to just being home and doing something. Um, But I was listening off and on to different things. I'd wake up for a little bit and whatever was up on the news, I just plugged in when lo and behold, I saw that the current occupant of the White House decided that it no longer needed the East Wing. And he had the bulldozers there. And so they have now bulldozed the East Wing away from the White House. Now, for those who don't know or understand how that works, with the exception of maybe changing the draperies or requesting a different color paint for your room, um, you cannot make any major changes at all to the White House because it's considered a historical monument that belongs to the people, not to the current president, not to former presidents, not to future presidents. It belongs to the people. And there are laws and protocols in effect that if you want to make any kind of major change, you have to go through all the proper steps, fill out the proper paperwork, and then get an approval from the Historical Museum Society. Well, he started in with this ballroom crap, a couple of months ago, and how, oh no, it wasn't going to affect the current White House and the way it stood. It won't have anything to do with that. And it's not going to cost the taxpayers any money. I'm paying for it. Yeah, like he's ever paid for anything. Um, and so at one point today, I woke up and I turned the news briefs on just to see, what was going on. And I'm looking at video footage of bulldozers ripping down the east wing of the White House. I was stunned. And then I was just unbelievably angry. And I had to turn it off and I had to walk away from it for a little bit because it's like, okay, something has to happen to stop this moronic idiot from destroying everything we have. He's like the little kid we grew up with, that if he couldn't have everything exactly his way, he did more than just pick up his toys and go home. He would make a point of destroying everybody else's toys so that nobody could have fun and play before going home. And that's exactly what the current occupant of the White House is like. He's like a 6-year-old boy, ill mannered, ill trained, spoiled brat who, if everybody doesn't praise him every second and kiss the ring and bow down and yes sir, no sir, whatever you say sir kind of crap, then he has a temper tantrum. And it's the country as a whole that suffers from that, whether it be bad policies, new tariffs that go up, which of course anybody with half a brain realizes that tariffs don't put money on those sending product into the country. We pay the tariffs because the prices go up. And so while he's running around saying we brought all the prices down, it's like, have you been to the grocery store? It's 2 plastic bags of like 6 items is over $50. That's ridiculous. I mean, I remember when we could go to the grocery store when I was a kid and have a basket full of food, and it was 20, 25 bucks, maybe most, you know. Of course, I'm a lot older than people may realize, but I remember those days. I mean, I remember when little, what they called penny candies at the time, you get 3 for a penny. Now you're lucky to get 3 for $1 if it's on a good day. But it angers me and it frustrates me and it just breaks my heart to see this spoiled, rotten little bratty boy try to see how much damage he can do to this country before he wanders off this mortal plane, so to speak. It's really heartbreaking. It's totally and completely heartbreaking. And so, I started thinking about it, and then I had to lay down and sleep again for a little while. Because if I'm up for more than like 20 or 30 minutes, I'm wiped. I can't function. So I lay back down and I went to sleep for a little while, and I got back up to discover, okay, not only has he tore down the east wing of the White House without permission, but now he is suing the Department of Justice, or he's having the Department of Justice sue the American people to pay him $240 million to cover his legal cost for all the frivolous court charges that he's had his people bring to court that he's lost because there's no there, okay? Where he's had judges throw it out. He's had a couple of the lawyers that worked for him literally disbarred and told, yeah, you done effed up, dude. You can't practice law anymore. And so it just absolutely blows my mind. It really does, that he just seems to do all of these horrendous things and nobody stops him. How is that possible? If you or I showed up at the White House with a sledgehammer and started swinging at things and busting down walls, what do you think would happen if they didn't shoot us on the spot? We would be arrested, hauled off to jail, convicted, and put in prison. In a heartbeat, in a nanosecond, it would be a done deal, especially if they had video evidence of it. I mean, so like I said, I just got back up again a little bit ago and I started thinking about it. I thought, well, I know technically it's not lunch break musings. And I haven't been able to do affirmations this week. I do apologize for that as well. I just haven't been able to do it. So I decided, okay, well, let's just toss a handful of cards on this and see what's going to happen, or see what the cards say about this. Because, I mean, I could sit here for an hour and just rant and rave, but who wants to watch that, right? So let's be creative and let's let's be productive in what we're looking at here. So here we go. First up, and I got the 10 of Pentacles. Now that's talking about lump sum wealth, a money windfall, stability, I guess, in some respects. I feel good. I don't even have my nails on. Well, that kind of fits the fact that I saw he's suing the American people for $240 million to pay for his court cost. I'm it truly amazes me in his claims of getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse in this country. He has spent more money in under the first year than several of the last few presidents combined did in their entire tenure that they served. The man burns through money like it's toilet paper. It's amazing to me. He's doing all of these illegal, under the table deals, memes, coins, this, that, the other, whatnot, where he's got money pouring in hand over fist, yet he's always broke. Why do you think that is? It's because he spends it on stupid crap, Either that or else he's busy paying off the P guy in the art country to not release all the information on him. He's literally had the Speaker of the House, who, I apologize, people, yes, he's from my state and is a great embarrassment. I do apologize for that. But he's even gotten the Speaker of the House so kowtowed that he's had the government shut down for what we're going into week 3 now, I think it is. Nobody gets paid except Congress. Oh, they get their paycheck. Our military doesn't get paid, although the current occupant, did raid money from the Pentagon budget to send to some of the military. I'm not sure who exactly is going to be the recipient of that. Another illegal act. The president doesn't have permission to spend any money, period, without approval from Congress. Kind of hard to get approval from Congress when Congress isn't in session, right? Because they shut the government down. All because they're so busy trying to protect the current pedophiles that are running loose in this country from having all of the files released and having the truth come out. So 10 of Pentacles seems to fit just to start this off with, because he's looking for lump sum money. He's looking for a way to somehow blame somebody else for his stupidity and then cash in on it. Then I pulled the Death card. Now, it doesn't mean somebody's going to die, doggone it. But the Death card represents endings and transitions. Old things have to die away in order for new things to come in. And it can be very traumatic and very disruptive. Well, that's kind of been our daily dose from this current White House since January. People are seeing their way of life ended with no idea how they're going to go forward. They're losing their jobs, their homes, their vehicles, their health. Somehow we have $40 billion to send to Argentina so that they can have universal health care, but we can't spend any amount of money here at home for American citizens to have universal health care. Make that make sense. I'm listening, really. Make that make sense. So there are things that there are a lot of things that are going to have to die away. There are a lot of attitudes, a lot of assumptions, a lot of well, we can't do this because, you know, if we do it like this, then they're going to do it like that. I don't give a flying flip. Do what's right. That's all that matters. The rest will work its way out. Next up came the King of Cups. Now, basically, the King of Cups is a mature, caring, sensitive, older male figure in your life or in the life of the country. So I don't know who that's supposed to represent right now, because the only gentleman that I can think of that would fit that description currently in our country in politics would be Bernie Sanders, and who makes a hell of a lot of sense when you just sit down and listen to him talk, you know. But like so many others, he's been branded and painted with so much nonsense that people can't get past that to actually hear what he thinks and believes. And when they do, they usually have the reaction of, oh, wow, that's what I think and believe. And I don't care if you got an R or a D or an I after your name. But currently, he's about the only one I can think of who would fit that picture of the King of Cups as being someone who's mature, who's caring about the people, who truly wants what's best for this country. And it's I thought I saw somebody walk by. Okay, my eyes are starting to trip on me. So we see him. He has been traveling around. He's been talking to people all over the country and trying to get all Americans to realize we're not enemies of each other. I don't care if you vote conservative or liberal. It doesn't matter. Do you vote common sense? Are you willing to compromise in order to have a working solution that benefits everyone? That's what leadership in government is. And so we'll just have to wait and see who kind of steps in and takes that spot. And there may be somebody that's already there and doing the work, and they've just escaped my seeing them, you know, or they're just not coming to mind at the moment. And again, right now, my brain feels like it's okay. Next up, I drew the Six of Swords. Now, this is talking about moving on, travel, going somewhere new, or leaving somewhere old, or it's even if it's not physically moving away from something, it could just be mentally moving away from something, and that would fit where a lot of people are right now, as more and more of this idiocy is taking root. More and more people are stepping back and going, wait a minute. It's not what we voted for. That's not what we asked for. That's not what I believe. You're actually hurting me and my family. So there's a lot of people that are now at the point where they're ready to move on from this. They're ready for somebody to do something about it and get this man and his idiotic sycophants out of the office and into a hospital or prison, wherever they belong, or both, and hold them accountable for the damage that they have done, so that we as a country can move forward. Next up, I drew the Nine of Wands. Now, the Nine of Wands, that's it's kind of like the last stand. In a lot of ways, it feels like if we don't do something about this within the next year, it's going to be too late to do anything about it for who knows how long. That's how close we are, people, into becoming a full-blown, all systems on board fascistic nation. We are that close. And it's scary. It's scary as hell. I've had a lot of friends who have left the country for fear of that, and for fear that they won't be able to leave the country if they didn't go already. It's having that persistence. It's kind of taking stock of where you're at, and knowing that you still have one big battle left to fight. So you gotta regroup. You gotta bind your wounds. You gotta ready your swords. You gotta get ready to do what needs to be done in order to free this country from this fascistic regime. And it's scary as hell when you look at that, because it's like, are there enough people in this country who are aware enough to say, oh, hell yeah, something's got to be done. Let's do it. And I don't believe in overthrowing the government. I don't believe in a coup or in trying to overtake anything. There are legal ways you go about doing things like this, impeachment and charges of treason, and I mean, there's a multitude of things that now would fit the bill for any of this stuff. And so it's important that we raise up the right people who are going to be willing to step into the line of fire and deal with this. And there are quite a few people in the Congress right now, as I speak, that are doing their damnedest to do that. And we have to show them support in whatever way we can. And then the last card I drew was the King of Pentacles. Now, this has always been my card for the current occupant, because he thinks he's a king, even though he's more like the jester. And he thinks he's wealthy beyond belief, which, yeah, he's got a lot of money. There's a lot more people who got a hell of a lot more money than he does. And they don't burn through it so doggone fast that, a week after they get their hands on it, they're having to go out and grab for more. I mean, that's what blows my mind. It's just, he wastes money in ways that just is mind-boggling. I mean, I can't imagine having $1 million and blowing through it before I pass on. I can't imagine if I had, 200, 300 billion dollars. I mean, that's more zeros than my mind can comprehend. But there you go. You've got, what does that say? That was a news brief. Okay. I mean, there's just pop-ups. Go away. They're just, I look at this now, and what I see is a man who is so insecure in his own manhood, in his own self, that money is the only thing that fills that hole. And of course, he gets money and discovers actually doesn't fill that hole. So then he wants more money. And then, we have the displeasure of being around someone who takes great pleasure in hurting others. The only time I've ever seen him laugh about anything was when it was to the detriment of someone else. And he takes great joy and great pride in hurting other people as quickly as he can and as thoroughly as he can, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anything or anyone but himself. That's it. Full stop. End of story. So, like I've been telling y'all, it's going to get worse, a lot worse, before it gets better. But it will get better. One of the ways that we bring that in is we have to start manifesting. What do we want our country to look like? Not what is it that I don't want, or oh, I hate that, I don't want that, and blah, blah, blah. No. Focus on what do you want to see this country be like? Do you want to see universal health care so that everybody in this country, if they get sick or fall out and break a leg or an arm, they got the health care to cover it and can go to the drugstore and get the medicine to take care of it? And of course, the dogs are going to start barking. Hang on. Okay, finally got the dogs settled down. So it's very important that we start visually thinking about where do we want to see things go? What do we want to see this country to be like? Do we want universal health care? Then put that on your paper. I want to see universal health care. About affordable higher education for students. I mean, it's gotten ridiculously expensive. I would love to go back to school and get my master's. I can't even begin to think about it. I would like to see my neighbors get along with each other, regardless if they're liberal or conservative. I don't really care. I just want to see people care about each other. I don't want to see people get racially profiled just because they look or sound different than I do. Why would that give me the right to run them off the road or yank them out of a car or tackle them in the middle of the street and put cuffs on them and haul them off to not be seen again? That's illegal. It's called kidnapping. And so for that, you would simply put in your manifestation, I want to see everyone get along. I want to see people who come to this country who are seeking asylum, who are seeking help, to have their day in court, to express that and be told, yes, you can stay, or no, you can't. There's just so many positive things that we can put forth for all of us. That's what we have to focus on, is what is the positive? What do you want to see? Do you want to be able to work a job and get a decent pay that you can actually pay all your bills in a month's time and take a vacation once a year without having to max out 2 or 3 or 4 credit cards to do it? That's something else to think about. It's there's just so many things we can do that can make everything better. It's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen, and it can happen rather rapidly if we put our minds to it and we start taking steps towards it. All right. I got to go lay down again. I'm getting dizzy. So I'll say goodbye for now. And we'll talk again hopefully tomorrow. If you don't hear from me tomorrow, that just means I wasn't able to get out of the bed. So just hang in there. I'm doing the same. It's just about time to take my next dose of medication and go back to bed because I'm just about cooked at this point. So, y'all have a great afternoon, good evening, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.